Traditional marketing is becoming a little bit harder for brands, and ads are becoming more expensive, harder to target, harder to attribute. That in itself is where we really like to focus on in terms of being able to get your best customers on a platform where you own the marketing and you own the messaging and the branding. You know, you might have been a nice to have a couple of years ago, but now with the economic changes, with the ad platform changes with Apple and Google, like it's even more of a must-have. Audience targeting and being able to reach your own audience is harder than it's ever been. Things like push notifications and mobile apps have really fit in there. So there's a lot of other things going on in the economy, but I think that's one that we've seen as a consistent macro trend throughout the last 16, 18 months.
Hello and welcome to the DTC Podcast Tech Stack Edition. I'm Eric Dick. Today we're over the rainbow excited to talk with the Ecommerce Director of one of my favorite apparel brands, Aviator Nation. Aviator creates high-quality garments, sun-soaked in California nostalgia that helps you feel like a rock star every time you put on one of their hoodies. Curtis Ulrich has been part of Aviator Nation since he started slinging hoodies on the floor of their first retail location 7 years ago. Flash forward to today, and he's overseeing a $100 million e-commerce channel. After a loungewear boom in the pandemic, Curtis has been focused on retaining as many customers for the long term as he can, and this is what led him to building an app, and that's where Eric Netsch comes in. So Eric Netsch is the CEO and founder of Tapcart. He's just a massive resource for when it comes to what brands are doing really well on apps, why you should be considering building an app with your e-commerce store. He's also a hoodie-wearing member of the Aviator Nation himself, which I hope to be soon as well. In this colorful conversation, you're going to hear all about how apps bridge the gap between physical retail and e-commerce. You're going to hear the exact setup that Aviator Nation uses to drive 12% of their e-commerce sales through their app. You'll hear all about how their LTVs and AOVs are increased through their app. You'll hear about the cost per install economy and how that's working for shopping apps, as well as the power of the push notification and why Curtis prefers push to SMS. You'll also hear how Aviator Nation retains its startup feel as a 9-figure business. I hope you're ready to tap that app. On with the show. Welcome to the DTC Podcast Tech Stack Edition. Curtis and Eric, I am extremely excited to have you guys here. Curtis, I've just spent the past hour or so just browsing the Aviator Nation website, just trying to figure out which of these garments really speaks to my personality the most. I'm really impressed with the vibrancy of the brand. Can you just tell me a little bit about how Aviator Nation got started, the sort of origin story of Aviator Nation?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is a Southern California beach vibe sort of aesthetic, which goes to the founding of the brand. Paige Mykowski, the CEO, designer, founder, still super involved. She creates and designs every piece. She founded the brand in, I think, 2016 out of her garage in Venice Beach, which if you've walked around Venice, like we very much bring that Venice beach vibe, and it's kind of become synonymous with Aviator Nation. And so she started making, just garments that she wanted to wear. She was in love with like the old rock and roll t-shirts that were like super loud, expressive, and just like a vibe. And so she was like, I can't find these anywhere. This is the kind of clothing I want to wear. I guess I'll just make it. So she bought a sewing machine and just started making garments out of her garage and selling them on at street fairs on Abbot Kinney. And being in LA, you can kind of strike gold if like a celebrity or someone wears one of your garments. And she got lucky enough to where some highly influential people started wearing Aviator Nation, and it kind of became this like cult classic brand. Like, where do you get it? How do I find it? 'Cause she was only making them out of her garage. And eventually she got put into a few different boutique wholesalers, which she's told this story quite a bit. But she was kind of like, that was an oh crap moment. Sorry, I don't know the.
It's all right, no worries.
Because she was like, I really need to figure out, I'm a one-man team, how to start producing this stuff. And from there, in 2016, she started producing garments here in Los Angeles, which is still a big part of the brand, that we create everything locally here in LA. And opened up our first store in Abercrombie, and the rest is a little bit kind of history. We now have 17 stores in a bunch of different major kind of destination-based places around the country, like Aspen, Vail, Miami, North Shore of Hawaii. And yeah, we're still making everything here in Los Angeles. The brand's grown quite a bit in that time. I've been lucky enough to be here 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a ride.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed and grown. I mean, the whole landscape of, commerce in that time with, e-commerce exploding.
Did you start, because you're director of e-commerce now, did you start at the bottom and work your way up kind of thing? Or
I did, yeah.
Have they been thinking about a D2C and e-commerce right from the beginning even?
Well, Aviator Nation is really just a bunch of, it is like still that built out of a garage brand. Like I had no experience in e-commerce. I was working on the sales floor, and then a position opened up where, you could work in customer service for e-commerce in 2015, and that was a really small part of our business. We were super focused on our retail stores. And I came in then with no experience in the industry and was lucky enough to ride the wave of kind of e-commerce exploding around that time, as well as the brand itself. And so I've gotten to work my way up from, just slinging hoodies on the sales floor to being a director now of, almost $100 million sales channel for us.
Unreal. Now,
yeah,
let's talk about let's talk about 2022. Let's talk about the last, let's call it 6 months or so. What would you say has been the biggest sort of challenge you're facing in the market right now?
Yeah, we were pretty uniquely positioned during the pandemic shutdown. Making goods in Los Angeles was actually to our benefit. Being a hoodie and sweatpants brand was definitely to our benefit because everyone's new work from home kind of uniform was Aviator Nation. And so during that time, and I know this kind of backs it up a little further than 12 months, but during that time, the brand saw just an explosion of growth. We were able to stay open because we started making masks in our production facility. And so we were able to, take a part of our production facility and turn it into a mask supply chain that we were distributing out into the community, which allowed us to continue to create our garments and create, or to continue our fulfillment operations. And so in 2020, we just saw this insane growth through our online sales channels because obviously our stores were all closed. And we brought in a ton of new customers. Not a lot of people were advertising on Facebook and Instagram because they just couldn't ship their orders. And so they're like, we're not going to spend money. And so the marketplace wasn't very competitive, and it allowed us to just kind of gobble up a ton of the market, really. And so the biggest challenge since then has been, well, how do we, keep up with this demand that we were able to pull in during 2020? How do we retain those customers? How do we keep them engaged? And so that's kind of been the big focus for us the last 12 months. How do we re-engage those customers who discover the brand? How do we continue to grow that customer base in an ever-increasing competitive kind of e-commerce environment? Because since then, everyone's online. Everyone's selling direct-to-consumer. And it's a really crowded digital landscape. And so how do we kind of, continue to make room for us in that?
Makes sense, right? I think so many brands are feeling the come down a little bit of this idea, about how much e-commerce would grow and how much it grew in that first year, and then it's really kind of come back down to still great growth, but just normal growth rather than 10 years in 1 year as we sort of experienced there. Eric, what are you seeing in the sort of the economy as a whole right now, or the e-commerce game as a whole?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the e-commerce game right now. One of the biggest changes in the world that we're seeing is traditional marketing is becoming a little bit harder for brands, and ads are becoming more expensive, harder to target, harder to attribute, and that in itself is where we really like to focus on in terms of being able to get your best customers on a platform where you own the marketing and you own the messaging and the branding. And that's something where, it might have been a nice to have a couple of years ago, but now with the economic changes, with the ad platform changes with Apple and Google, it's even a more of a must-have play for your customers. So that's one of the big things we're seeing just in the macro scale of every D2C brand is just that audience targeting and being able to reach your own audience is harder than it's ever been. And things like push notifications and mobile apps have really fit in there. So there's a lot of other things going on in the economy, but I think that's one that we've seen as a consistent, macro trend throughout the last, 16, 18 months.
So when then, Curtis, did you guys decide that you were going to make an app a priority?
Yeah, we started talking with the Tapcart team, I think in 2019, and in just sort of like an exploratory phase. And that team's like so great at like keeping up relationships. We didn't decide to go with it initially, but like we stayed connected on LinkedIn and they would check in and stuff like that. And then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, all 15 of our stores at the time pretty much got shut down. And so we were reliant on e-commerce to, keep paying our employees because we paid all of our employees that were not working, to keep our factory open, to just basically be the lifeblood of the company. And so it allowed us then to revisit and be like, well, how can we make this e-commerce experience, more impactful, better? Everyone's on their phone. And so it naturally just was like, oh yeah, Tapcart, the app company. And so we started looking into, what it would take for us to, launch an app into the marketplace. And we're looking at like private apps and things like that. And ultimately those things are just really expensive. And the big thing for Aviator, like for us, like I wear so many different hats, like after this, I'm probably going to go down and help pack orders. Yeah, literally. I'll be packing orders. I'll be like, some days I'll literally have to drive orders over to UPS because the truck's too full. And so for us to find a partner that is like Shopify, who, has no, where we don't need to have like developers or coders on the team. And I can wake up in the morning and like quickly move things around before my day starts. And there's like not much friction in it. That's kind of what led us to decide to launch an app. And like Eric was talking about, just the ability to tap into your customer base. We have such rabid customers who like jump at the first opportunity for a sale, who jump at the first opportunity for a new product launch. And because we do make everything here in LA, like our inventory quantities are not as big. And so the ability, I get freaked out sometimes how quickly the push notification comes to my phone. Like I'll be on the back end of Tapcart and hit press, and then like all the phones in the office like light up like that. So the customer has this like insanely quick ability to be like the first to know about something from your brand.
And the scarcity is real with your brand.
It is, yeah.
This is not fast fashion.
Correct, yeah. And we definitely try to work that into our marketing, and we might kind of aid that a little bit. But yeah, it's real, and Tapcart allows us to really engage and kind of, get that customer base active.
Very cool. What is adoption rate like? Like what sort of adoption rate do you look for in, customers into app users? And I'm also just curious how you actually drive users to use the app.
Yeah, I bet Eric probably has some better hard data on like adoption rate and things like that. But I think for our consumers or our online shoppers and whatnot, it started off at around like 8%. And I think year to date, we're a little closer to like 12% of total revenue coming through our app. And so it's growing. I think the biggest way for us to convert mobile users to utilize our app is just a little pop-up when you visit it on your mobile phone that, drives them to the app store to do the download and, offering discount codes. And we actually use the app to kind of bridge the digital and in-person experience a lot. And so we do a lot of different events where we'll be chatting with people one-on-one, and we'll have the QR codes there for people to download the app with a little prompt with some kind of discount code or something like that. And so it's an easy way to allow us to, because we'll be at like music festivals and things like that, where we're just interacting with tens or hundreds of thousands of people coming through our booth a day. And it's really easy for us to, we might not get a sale, but if a secondary win is like, well, at least we get them to download the app or something like that. And so it's helped us to bridge kind of like a digital and in-person kind of interaction as well.
That's super interesting. I'm just curious, like, have you tested SMS? I'm curious about like SMS versus push, like, because one of them is, it's just a straight sort of transactional experience, and one of them is a bit more tied into this community or this app. How do they compare?
Yeah, I mean, we do both. More recently, did we adopt SMS? For us, the deliverability is like the big separator. And so when we're using push, if our sale launches at noon and we set up the push to go out at 11:59 and the SMS to go out at 11:59, the SMS might not hit my cell phone until like 1 o'clock just because of like delayed deliverability. And so that's a big separator. And so for us, when we talk about that scarcity and like that act now kind of thing, the app for the consumer allows them to act a lot quicker and make that purchase.
Very cool. Eric, what are you seeing with brands that are deploying apps in terms of, best practices for getting more users to download the app?
Yep. So Aviator Nation is in the green zone. We like to see 10 to 30% of app traffic and app orders, total orders coming through the application. So I think that's a really healthy number to target. Sometimes it goes up to 60% depending on the brand and the strategy. And there's so many ways to influence app adoption. A lot of them can actually be free. So leveraging your social media following, like Curtis said, leveraging your website with your existing traffic and turning mobile website visitors into app visitors is a great way to do it with things like pop-ups, things like smart banners. There's ways to do incentives as well. So you can actually use the same discount code percentage that you would normally give to a loyal user or an existing user and turn that into an app exclusive discount to get a user to actually download the app and go through the shopping experience for the first time. A lot of it comes down to exclusivity. That's actually the most popular mechanism that we found, especially for brands like Aviator Nation who have that sellout factor with a lot of short inventory. You can actually create exclusive items that only exist in the app. You can create exclusive products, exclusive collections, exclusive discount codes, exclusive loyalty plays. So there's like a really good driver for that core fan base to download that app, get the updates, and have an exclusive experience that's different from retail, that's different from web. That's really been the most exciting and best driver that we've seen out there.
And it doesn't look like Aviator Nation is a discount brand. It doesn't look like you probably do that much discounting. So that idea of exclusivity plays double in the app, where it's absolutely real. People are they're doing and that idea of launching something exclusive to the app users, like only an edition that's only available via the app, I could see being a good idea down the road.
Yeah, definitely. We don't run like a continuous sales section or anything like that. And so when we do activate that base and say like there's a sale and it's a flash sale for this amount of time, like the orders hit like really fast and really hard. And so being able to like I said, tap into that customer base and re-engage them with the app is really crucial for us.
Surprise and delight. Delight is the big word when it comes to like usability of apps. Like what do you do in the app to make it a delightful experience, specifically to Aviator Nation? Besides, the brand is just delightful. I feel like I have to buy one of these things. I'm just going to put it on and I'll just feel marginally better just by putting on your garments. Is that true, first of all?
I think it's sewn into the tag that you will feel like a rock star when you wear it. There's some kind of, I forget the exact messaging, but it's in there. And it's true. I mean, I'll throw on like one of my winter jackets when I'm up on the mountain or something like that. And you really you're turning heads, you really stand out. But for the app, I mean, it allows us, we're such a lifestyle brand, to like really display a lot of our great sort of content. And we do these kind of huge lifestyle campaigns where we're out and, Costa Rica or up in the mountains, and so for us to be able to display like the beautiful rich content that we have on the app is important for us. The push notifications obviously are a big factor. Customers to be notified when their order ships, that's really nice. The customer experience for order tracking and things like that, and the ease of use for like updating. Like I said, I can just do it on the fly. I can do it from my phone, and so it's very nimble and allows us to constantly be able to jump in there, and as things change, we can update it within seconds. which if you told me before, like, I would have thought we would have need like a team of developers to update something on the App Store or whatever, but it's instantaneous, which is important for us.
I could imagine it could be a good channel for your, whether you're promoting things from your Instagram feed or whatever, but for ways for your community to know each other a little bit. I just think about like upload a picture of you wearing one of your things here, and then having that be a stream in the in the app. I could be a good two-way form of kind of communication, community building there.
Yeah, definitely. And
sense.
I mean, that's one thing that we're always really excited about when we meet with the Tapcart team, is sort of like their roadmap and plans for sort of what the app currently is, but like what it's going to become in the future. Because much like Shopify, it has like all the essential building blocks. But that long-term vision of, things like you're talking about for these different kind of added features is really exciting as well.
The Aviator Nation filter. I could just, you guys must, your all your clothes are like filters. You could make any hoodie look like an Aviator Nation hoodie with the right filter. Just add that to the pile.
Funny enough, you say that. We are working on a Snapchat augmented reality filter for a hat right now.
Of course you are.
And so,
I love it.
you just throw it on and you're wearing the hat.
I want the NFT version.
Yeah.
Eric, what else are you seeing innovative brands? You mentioned that Aviator Nation's in the green. It sounds like across a lot of different axes, they're probably a high end specimen. What else do you love to see brands making use of in the app?
Totally, and I can even kind of go into the Aviator Nation app. I am a fan myself. I do have the app on my phone. It's in my shopping folder, along with a lot of other awesome shopping apps. And I think there's a couple things Aviator Nation and other customers do. So having a segmented experience is big. So like you go into the app, like I can go straight to the men's area and start shopping. If I'm shopping for someone else, I can go to gifts. I can go to the women's section really easily. So like that right away, I can have a segmented experience is a great part of the app. This is one that not a lot of people bring to attention, but I stay logged into the app perpetually. So I never have to go log back in. I'm never logged out. My cart exists indefinitely forever. I'm not losing my items. I'm not losing track of my wish list. So I really love that. That way I can shop just a little bit easier. I can add things to my cart. I get reminders when they're on sale or if there's an exclusive drop. And I really like that. And the unintrusiveness of the push notifications, I think, is a big one too. It is a fully branded channel, and sometimes with SMS and email, and this is a personal choice. Those are my personal inboxes, and when brands are hitting me there constantly, it's just less. I feel less closer to the brand's mission and the brand's vibe overall. So I really enjoy when I can get kind of the exclusive updates delivered directly to my device and kind of an unintrusive, kind of
less mechanical way. Text, like so many of them just with big promo codes and all caps and numbers, and it just seems like a robot's yelling at me about a sale sometimes.
Exactly. And I know that the Aviator Nation app also has the Instagram shopping embedded directly in there. So if I'm not getting the updates directly through Instagram, just via the algorithm, every time I open the Aviator Nation app, I can actually see all of their Instagram posts. I can browse and shop things directly from those collections. So I really like that. And just the VIP loyalty experience is great too. Every time I buy something, I'm gaining loyalty points and things like that. So it's just those are all just reasons why apps are great, and that I just feel that much closer to the Aviator Nation experience.
And then where the rubber meets the road, what kind of differences are you seeing in AOVs, in LTVs from app users versus non-app users, Curtis?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the numbers too recently, but I think it was at least $10 to $15 or $20 higher on the app than it was on any of our other channels, which goes back to the app experience. And it also goes back to that's just where a lot of our loyal customers are living, and that's where they're shopping. And so across the board, those metrics do seem to be a bit higher on the app, in which Tapcart does a great job of, they have a full back end similar to Shopify where you can view all of that data. Is presented to you in like a very nice, clean way. And I love that it kind of mirrors Shopify in a lot of ways, because if you're familiar with one, you can instantly work in the other.
Nice. Yeah, it just makes sense for me. The only time that I probably had shopped too much was when I was using the Nordstrom app, which is now no longer available in Canada. So I have a new app. I have room in my shopping folder to add a new app. So I'll take a look at this one. Very cool. What else? So you mentioned, Curtis, you mentioned the Tapcart's roadmap. Eric, what can you speak to that? Like, what are you excited about coming down the Tapcart roadmap?
Yeah. So we have a couple exciting things that we're working on right now. The biggest area is something that's kind of new to us, and it's around acquisition. It's around getting existing customers, new customers to actually engage in the app experience and adopt the app experience. Typically, Tapcart has been purely on the later funnel retention side of the business. So we have a number of new tools launching this quarter that will actually influence a lot more adoption, a lot more usage to just continue making customer lifetime value greater, pushing AOV higher. So we have things like app clips, which actually allows users to stream a native application and use the Aviator Nation experience without actually having to go through the tedious download process that the App Store provides. So that's a really exciting product that we'll be releasing. That's been a long time coming. Things to make QR code generation and capturing audience a lot easier. So we have a lot of tools. Again, just focus on that top of funnel experience to make the barrier to entry on the merchant and the consumer side just that much easier to having a better experience with Tapcart and being able to get the app in the shopping folder, not just for us three on the call, but for millions of other rabid fans out there. Other areas that we're kind of doubling down on are analytics, attribution, and just being able to gather more insights on mobile shopping activity that's happening across all of our apps and across individual apps to provide better attribution, provide better insight for for our customers on what strategy they should be focused on and what to not focus on.
I spent a long time in the pay-per-install space. I was working on a Clash of Clans competitors that newsflash failed. Mm-hmm. I couldn't unsee Clash of Clans when they were paying over $100 per user at the time in 2016 or so. But I'm curious, have you experimented, or like either Curtis on Aviator Nation or Eric, or if other brands that you know are doing this, are there plays to run cost per acquisition or pay per install campaigns in order to drive customers? Like even retargeting your loyal customers to say, hey, why don't you jump on the app? Is there a play to do that?
For us, we haven't done that. We haven't put a lot of paid resources behind app downloads. But it's something that we'd be interested in, I'm sure, just because of the metrics, show that, they're spending more there. They're, spending more time in the app than they are on their mobile phone.
If you get them for $5-10, like you'd make that up on their first purchase, right?
For sure. Yeah. I think that makes sense.
That's interesting. Do you see that bear out with other brands there, Eric?
So we do. It's usually one of the things we recommend kind of later in the strategy. And like Curtis said, like Aviator Nation was able to get around 12% of their total revenue to come through the app without any major paid campaigns, which is just awesome and just a testament to the fans out there that are willing to go through the download experience and actually shop on the app and have a better experience. So, there's some interesting data out there for pay per install ads. Pay per install ads are actually the only ad class right now on Facebook and Instagram that are continuing to trend downwards in cost and increase in efficacy. Whereas pay-per-click and other mechanisms are actually continuing to trend upwards in cost. So that's like a good space to experiment with, I think, especially now. I'm not claiming that's going to forever be the case because there's a lot more traction on the app stores. There's a lot more mobile apps out there. And we definitely recommend the pay-per-install kind of schema on the retention side. So just like you said, Eric, being able to like retarget your best 30% of your customer base with a pay-per-install ad is definitely highly effective. You're going to see a great ROI there. We have a number of customers that have actually spent less on retargeting customers to their website and transitioned a lot of that actually to install ads with a really great ROI. And all in the name of just increasing long-term CLV. So that it's been a good run, and it will just continue to get better on the pay-per install side. And
it's data acquisition too, right? It's data that becomes yours. It's you can get an install probably a lot cheaper than you can get a purchase in a lot of cases, and then you have that channel, that distribution channel built out. That's the way I really think of great D2C brands become distribution channels to their audience's affinity, I feel like. And I feel like the app just cements that a little bit further, where you literally, have this permanent, channel that people choose to have on their phone where you can reach them, engage them. And I think the key is having that delightful brand experience that Aviator Nation does, continuing to innovate on that side. Curtis, I just wanted to ask you, I didn't actually put this in the questions. It's something we ask of most podcast guests. If you don't have a great answer, you don't want to answer it, we can always edit it out. But if we were to give you $50,000, like a grant right now, to be used in your marketing, it doesn't necessarily have to be on the app or in the app world. I'm just curious, where would you use that to see the most growth in the next level? It's a drop in the bucket for a store with a 100 million sales channel, but I'm just interested to know where you'd put that.
For sure. For us, we've seen like so much success in being able to get back out into the world and interacting with people in these really authentic ways. And so like we were just up in Bottle Rock last weekend for the music festival, and we had a booth there. And so we see so much success blossom out of a community when we go there and get to interact with people and really spread that ethos and that vibe and talk to people about the brand, get them to touch it and feel it. And kind of, breaking down that digital wall and being able to interact with people one-on-one. And so, I would probably
throw
sponsor
a party.
Maybe a music festival, throw a party at Coachella or something like that. One, it would be successful, and two, we'd have a lot of fun. So
and third, I'm coming.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And, we just did our first live event in Vancouver. We got 150 of Vancouver's like top brands together for just a big meetup and did a little content there. And it just went so well. And I fully agree that the world really feels ready for those kind of in-person things. And I feel like if we're eventually going to do one down in LA, and we'll have to connect to get you guys to come out and be involved in that. Cause I think there's the question that I have is, how do you build a brand that has a run rate of 9 figures or whatever that still feels like it's out of a garage, in that like you still have someone like you hustling to the delivery station and doing all these things. How do you keep that ethos in a company as you grow as big as you have?
We're all just really bought in, and a lot of us started in those like lower positions or entry level positions, I should say, and have been entrusted with the brand to grow it and to build our channels and to learn and grow and everything like that. And so we just have so much skin in the game. And so the people at the top, have that, and the people under us see that, that I'm here at 6 a.m., busting my butt. And so it really makes everyone else buy in. And it's just authentic. I mean, like we really live the brand. We all hang out together outside of work. There's siblings that work here. There's, families that work here. And so it's just, we're all in it together, and the success of the brand is our own personal success as well. And so Paige, the founders, really made that happen, I think.
Is she still hands-on with designs, or do you have a team of designers that are sort of churning stuff out?
Just her.
Wow.
She's hands-on in almost every department. So she'll be out.
That's got to be part of the secret.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
Right?
I mean, so we've opened, I think 5 or 6 retail stores in the last 2 years, and she's out there painting the murals on them. She's designing the interior, picking out the wallpaper. And so when you see that kind of passion from the person at the top, it kind of just bleeds downward.
That's amazing. Very cool. Any final words, Eric, on people thinking in our audience about, like, I'm just like, who is there someone who shouldn't build an app? Is there someone listening to our podcast right now that shouldn't be considering building an app? And then who should definitely be considering building an app?
So we definitely aren't going to recommend people shouldn't try to build an app. I think we have a very low barrier to entry. So I think if you want to try it, you definitely should. We have plans that start at $250 a month, and we can even, provision free time just for experimentation. So we definitely recommend anyone who's on Shopify that has somewhat of a customer base should definitely give it a try. Our sweet spot is if you have a few thousand customers in your database and are really trying to ramp up the retention and customer lifetime value efforts. So some of the best success we've seen is where the brand is really focused on gaining new customers in-house, and they use programs like Tapcart to facilitate a lot of the natural organic retention, so they can continue pouring gasoline on the fire and like really ramping up their own acquisition but they also have sustainable retention plays that are built into the core of their business with a mobile app. So that's really what we like to see, and having a couple thousand customers in a list or your database really helps Tapcart get started with an audience that we can market to and actually get adoption with. And I think a good comparable is like if you have an email list, if you have an SMS list. It's never too early to start to build an audience with a push notification subscriber list. It's a list that you own. It's a list, like Curtis said, that you can market to and get instant traction with. Push notifications are included for free on our platform, so you can have thousands of subscribers to millions of subscribers. It's all the same cost. So I think that's really where we like to focus on, is like on the retention, on the owned marketing, and if you're a business that's thinking about those two things and want to experience how to do it better, then Tapcart and a mobile app is definitely a good thing to try out.
Nice. So what do you want listeners who are listening right now to do? Just go to tapcart.com and fill out a form, email you. What do you say?
I think that would be great. We have a whole team of hands-on experts. We're happy to demo the product. We're happy to walk you through or introduce you to more of our customers. Definitely take a look at some of our case studies. I think really understanding like how you can leverage an app in different verticals, I think is really interesting. So we work with not just fashion apparel brands, but we also have a lot of brands in the home goods space and the nutrition space. So an app is different for every brand. And whether you want to leverage more content or whether you want to influence more retention or have a space where you can exclusively drop your music or whatever other goal you might have, we have a really good resource on our website that you can kind of read through and check it out and just get some ideas for how you might want to use an app to better your business. But yeah, if you want to hit me up on LinkedIn, you can. If you want to hit up anyone that works for Tapcart, they'd be happy to talk to you about the results and the process. And everyone should be thinking about their mobile experience. It's one of the two most important sales channels you can have as an e-commerce business, and Tapcart can really help you boost that, the most important one, which is the mobile experience.
You got me thinking about whether it would work for a newsletter and podcast business. I'm just to deliver that content, we wouldn't have to deal with the promotion folder anymore because we know we'd be delivered directly to an app. I'll have to hit you up about that. We'll do some thinking.
You definitely can. There's always a content to commerce play, and we're seeing that more and more. And we work with a lot of DJs, music influencers. We have Dim Mak by Steve Aoki. He likes to launch kind of exclusive merchandise there. We work with Marshmello, who is also a DJ. He's done some exclusive music drops just through the app. So you can really see the app as kind of a VIP content hub, and have commerce be a secondary aspect as well. So that is a popular play, and it really works for the fans that are out there and the customers that want to experience your podcast in a deeper, closer sense.
And who doesn't want to get deeper and closer with conversations like this? Thank you guys so much for coming on today. This was a lot of fun. Learned a lot about app development. And I'm definitely going to join the Aviator Nation very shortly here, because I got some festivals I got to hit up this summer, and this is going to be the right attire.
We'll be glad to have you.
Nice. All right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Curtis. Good to see you guys.
Tapcart is deeply invested in supporting the D2C community, and they want everyone to have access to the top mobile strategies and allow as many brands as possible to duplicate the great results that Aviator Nation has seen with their app. Learn more by visiting tapcart.com/DTCpod. They also created an exclusive 2 months free offer, especially for our listeners here on the D2C Podcast, so check it out. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.